that moderation is the key to life.
Yeah.
And obviously, and the same goes for exercise. And I think what we have is we have this spectrum of exercise. And what you have to think about is that being at either end of that spectrum could be deleterious to health. So what we absolutely know is that inactivity is one of the most potent confounding factors for health, is that the activity is fundamental for quality of life, for length of life. Equally, at the other end of the spectrum, excessive exercise can be problematic. And you know, that's what I deal with in my clinic here on a regular basis with elite athletes who are pushing themselves to the limit on a constant basis. I think the interesting thing about that is that it's not, we used to coin it overtraining syndrome, but it rarely is it overtraining syndrome. Invariably what it is under recovery.
Absolutely.
And I think it's under recovery from stress. And it's not just the physical stress. And I think, you know, for the non-elite, you know, if you've got a family and you've got a very stressful job, and then what you're trying to do is layer on exercise on top of that, what you're doing is that if you've got poor quality of sleep, poor nutrition, if you very rarely recover, and you've got high stress in work, at home, and now in your physical endeavors, then all of a sudden what you can see is this balance between stress and recovery all of a sudden starts to tip towards stress.
Yeah.
And when it starts to tip towards excessive stress, what you start to get is maladaptation. So rather than you adapting positively, what you're going to do is you'll adapt negatively, and that can have a profound effect on all systems within the body. You know, immune function is a classic example of that. Generally, people in that sort of imbalance tend to have repetitive upper respiratory tract infections. They have coughs and colds constantly. And so for me, I think what's important when you are designing this, when you're planning this, is that just to think about what that balance looks like. And what you need to do is address those stressors. You know, some of those stressors are there, that's life. You know, you've got a family, you've got work, that's the way it is. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to ameliorate those. You're trying to reduce those stresses, whilst at the same time trying to optimize recovery. So again, planning recovery is important. You know, what nutrition are you going to have? How are you going to eat? When are you going to eat? What are you going to eat? Also, the quality of sleep, optimizing quality of sleep, absolutely crucial. So again, it's quite an intricate thing, but what you are trying to do is balance this stress versus recovery. The people who do that best are the people that succeed the most.
With my clients, I give them an analogy. It's like having a bathtub with several different taps, and if you add extreme exercise and dietary restriction, it's just like adding another tap, and if that overflows, then you're going to reach
all
shut
over.
down. Yeah,
exactly right. It's coming through the ceiling.
Yeah, it's coming through the ceiling. The neighbours are complaining.
And it is that. It is that, and I see it an awful lot, because I think what happens is, particularly when we talk about major challenges, that people become polarized.
Yeah,
it becomes all consuming and all important. And I think what you have to do is bring reality to that. And again, but that's where the team comes in. I think what you do need is you need trusted people within that team who can turn around and say, you know, you need to take some recovery, you need some rest days, you need to improve what you're eating, you know, all those sort of things. Is actually, I think sometimes we do need a sounding board in order to do that, because it does become polarizing, and we have to be very careful of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you were to consider somebody's working career almost like an endurance event over time, they're accumulating so much stress that they don't really see coming on, and then they're jumping into a massive fitness program that looking to overhaul everything in a day, you know, in a course of a few weeks. Very often they'll go backwards.
Yeah, and absolutely right. Yeah, I think, you know, the one thing on that is I think that to some extent what you're doing is you're planning life. And I think what you have to consider is if you haven't done any physical activity, any exercise for 10 years, it's not suddenly going to come back in a week. Yeah, you know, it took a long time to lose it. It's going to take a long time to regain it. And I think what you have to be is you have to take that approach, the long-term view of it. And if you do that, it'll be a much more sensible view to that approach. Once you regain the condition that you're looking for, maintaining it then becomes much easier, and it becomes sustainable across time. I mean, you know, the classic analogy is New Year's resolutions. Yeah. You know, people get to New Year's and they think, right, I'm going to change everything and I'm going to do it all at once. I'm going to stop smoking, stop drinking, I'm going to start an exercise regime, I'm going to lose weight. And lo and behold, the average duration for a New Year's resolution is 21 days. And it's not surprising, because it's like getting in your car. The analogy I use is getting in the car and you're in first gear and you just slam it straight into sixth. Well, it's going to stall. It's all over. You know, it's destined to failure, because the structure of the plan just isn't good enough to deliver success.